Welcome to another Real Dad Movement Daily Revelation. On this topic, this episode, we talk about being triggered. Pew, pew, pew. Triggers. Oh man, no laughing matter. Triggers are real. They're a real part of our life. And the who, what, where, why, how is something that I reverse engineer to discover the reason and purpose behind the triggers that you have in your life. And it starts with that. How? How have you been triggered? Is it through someone cutting you off? What's the cue? What's something that sits in place, whether it's back in the 1920s, kids having their elbows on the dining table or wearing a hat inside? How do you get triggered? And why? Why is that triggering you? Why is someone else's actions or a circumstance or what's set in place putting you in a position where ultimately you're feeling a level of rage, anger, something. When I say the word triggered, your emotions are coming out in a reactive state in which you almost feel like you've got no control. And when you look at the how's this being, how am I being triggered? Why am I being triggered this way? You can then establish the where. Well, where did this triggering come from? Where did this belief pattern or thought process or ability or lack thereof to see things in a different light put me in a position in which this is happening, this is the environment or the circumstance or the hole that I find myself digging into quite quickly and rapidly, but also in a position where I feel empowered to react and be this way when you haven't taken the time, and sometimes you don't have too much, it's a split second thing too, right? But you haven't taken the time to acknowledge or realize that, hey, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I shouldn't be this way. You've had a tough day at work, under the pump, boss has been riding you hard, or you're a business owner, you're just stressed. You're just stressed. Work is a stressful place at the best of times. And you come home and you transition into a different environment, which is preoccupied by other people, right? But for some reason, you step into this environment carrying some baggage or shackled from what the day's labors have entailed. And all of a sudden, you're in a place, in a position where one little thing happens. A child raises their voice. The missus asks a question, but you feel like you're being nagged, and boom, you get triggered. Where did this come from? And ultimately look at who put this in place. Who's put you in a position, like where did this come from? Who has put you in a position where you've conditioned yourself or there's been a belief pattern of, if this happens, I'm going to be this way. If that happens, I'm going to act that way. And this is being reactive instead of proactive or responding, so to speak. Responding and reacting is almost the same thing. It's just the time span, which can be everything when it comes to engaging the right way and really having a transfer of words, actions, and emotions where you're looking really for a win-win, because rarely there is a win-win when you're reactive and you're triggered. And from the where we go into what? Well, what is this doing to you? Like when you get triggered this way, what is this doing for your health, for your well-being, for your mental state of mind, for your family, for your children, for your own happiness? What is this doing to you? And ultimately the last part, which is who? Who is this forming you into? Who are you becoming when you are this person who is frequently triggered this way in engaging and acting in a way that clearly is not the answer or the way that you ultimately probably want to be? Maybe you do. Maybe you do like being bitter or angry or resentful, but let's focus on some absolutes, not matters of opinions or feelings, and be clear on understanding this absolute right here, right now, which is the moment that you become in a reactive state and you are triggered and you take action, reactive reactions, off the back of this triggering, you no longer control your own life. You have forfeited the ability to control your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and potentially actions as well therefrom, which you don't know what to do, and you think you do. And you think you've got this level of control because of the feelings that you're harboring, but you didn't create those feelings, did you? Someone else did something outside in your external environment, which created a really submission or a foregoing of your internal environment, which is why you are reacting in a state that you are. And you know this to be true because after it's all done, when the dust is settled, you may have a feeling of remorse or regret, and also concerning going, maybe I shouldn't have handled it that way. I shouldn't have done it this way. Look, no one's perfect, and we're not here to be robots. We're not human beings, right? We're human beings, right? We're not robots, and we're not here to be emotionless. But it's about establishing what sort of emotions do you want to have and really build off the back of where you stand in life. with any circumstance you're facing, and understanding and establishing, is this who I want to be? Am I in control of what I'm doing? Yes, I can't always control what's happening to and around me, but I can always control how I choose to see it. That is my perspective, my perception. That is free will. You could be locked up in a jail. You'll still have an element of free will, and whether you think you're innocent or not, it doesn't matter. It's irrespective of the fact of you're probably not even tapping into that because you're being triggered into a state of reacting to your environment, putting out fires here, there, and everywhere, which can lead to high levels of stress, forfeiting the ability to control your own life, and ultimately feeling lost in the sense that you don't actually quite know at times who you are or what you need to do. Wow, Al, this sounds like it's yeah. Geez, you're on the money here, Al. Or maybe I'm not, but more often than not, I don't dive into opinions and trying to convince people. It's off data and facts. And let's face it, where you are right now, you're probably asking, well, how do I fix it? What do I do? And this is where the magic lies. More often than not, take a breath, step back. It's not easy, but you've got to bank this stuff. Bank these emotions, these feelings off the back of being optimistic and asking yourself, who do I want to be? What's important to me? Really re-engineering what we reverse engineered on triggers. Who do I want to be in this life? Why is that important? What does that look like? How do I get there? And following this process and consistently realigning, because you'll get knocked off the path, the rat race, the mouse in the spinning wheel. Life is busy. There's so much shit going on all the time, and we're already putting out fires. And a lot of the times we're just getting punched in the face as dads. We're just copping it. It is what it is. I understand that, but you still got control, mate. You've still got power. Don't bow out. Don't fall to the lesser or act in weakness. I'm not saying you're weak, but act in weaker moments that do not serve you or your family, because ultimately, one of the true things that I only fear in this life is regret. And that's the last thing that anyone should really wish upon anyone else or have in their life, which is really hard when it's realized a long period after it's done. 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. It's done. It's too late. Mind yourself, watch yourself, be aware of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I've done an episode on thoughts and thinking about your thoughts, but really understand that you don't have to be triggered. It doesn't have to be that way. Why am I triggered? What's the process here in the belief pattern? Does it align? Awesome. Continue to follow suit. Doesn't it? Well, let's realign and reflect on what's happening and take the appropriate course of action that's going to serve me better, to be more, and to provide better as a man, as a leader in my own life and with my families. Hope you enjoy this episode. Hit you with another one soon. Cheers.